Good afternoon, one and all here present here. Let us start with the third session. The topic for the third session is hydrographic survey. Today, we have great personality for this session, Dr. P.V. Nangare sir, Assistant Professor, AISMS College of Engineering, Pune. He has completed his doctorate from Pune University. He has done his graduation as well as master's from Shivaji University. During about 23 years experience in teaching, Sir taught various subjects of civil engineering. His area of research is design of hydraulic structure, watershed management, GIS and GPS. He has done research publication in national and international journals. He contributed in many faculty development programs by giving the talk as an expert person. He has received two awards. One award that is a Best Researcher Award in 2008 and another award, Maniratna Shikshan Award in 2013. Great achievement, sir. Now I request Mr. Nangare sir to start the session. Over to you, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Madam. Kantak Madam. I am very much thankful to Chapekar sir, then Amturkar sir, head of the department, AISSMS Polytechnic, and Principal Giram sir, AISSMS Polytechnic. So I am very much thankful to all the team, organizing team, many faculty members. These are my students. Already I taught them the surveying subject. 1 minute. Whether my screens are visible, Tapikar sir?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I didn't see in my screen. What I shall do? तर माझ्या स्क्रीन मला दिसत नाही आहेत लॅपटॉप वरती.
एकच मिनिट सर.
हा ओके सर, दिसतंय का स्क्रीन तिथे? हॅलो.
Yes, sir. This is
Sir.
the screen.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And it's my great privilege and honor. I am the faculty members in AISSMS. Also thankful to the management of All India Sri Shivaji Memorial Societies. And first of all, I congratulate to the Department of Civil Engineering. They have taken a lot of efforts to organize this faculty development program as a research refresher program, and which is sponsored by the AICT as well as the IST. So for every teacher, as per the today's scenario, if you have to observe, there is need to attend the refresher programs, and which has taken by this NITTR or any organization, but specifically it has the more weightage for this AICT and the IST. So once again, I congratulate to the whole team of Department of Civil Engineering, and they have selected a very good topic, nice topic. And being as a civil engineer, always telling you that is the surveying subject, and everybody is aware to that subject. And if you don't have the knowledge of this, you cannot do any project, any exercise work, or you cannot propose any work now without surveying. So always I'm telling to my students, surveying is the father of all civil engineering disciplines. So with this privilege, actually I have topic that is day 2 and the session 3, and my topic is hydrographic surveying. So in this hydrographic surveying, it is a part of the surveying. And right now, since last 2 days, you have major equipments, total stations, or how to carry out the surveying work. Also on first day, I was attended Professor Jad, basic part of the surveying. So it's a very nice thing that the surveying is being started with the principle. And right now the surveying is one part and leveling is also. This is the hydrographic surveying, is a special type of the surveying, and which is now connected with the water bodies. So about this hydrographic surveying, hydro is a Greek word. So the meaning of the hydro is the water. Then how to carry out the surveying? Already you have seen in the last two days presentations about the surveying. So the basic part of the surveying is nothing but to locate the positions of. So there is located on the surface of the earth as well as around the atmosphere. So there are the different locations even in water. You can have to locate the points by using the survey. So the my topic is totally related with the water bodies. So just hydrographic survey is a branch of surveying and totally deals with the water bodies. For example, lake, river, etc., etc. So the many hydraulic structures are to be constructed, and it has the more connections with the water bodies. And you might be observed the nature of the water bodies. For example, behavior of the river is must be required to understood so that you have to propose the work, and by consideration of this behavior of the river, you have to design the further parts. Now, the usual fundamental principle of the surveying and the leveling are generally adopted in this hydrographic surveying. Then purpose behind this hydrographic surveying is nothing but to acquire the data. To acquire the data, retrieving the data, even though presenting the data, these are the parts of the GIS. Nowadays, we have to utilize the advanced techniques in this present, that is FDP. That is GIS is a technique you have to utilize. Right now, by using the conventional surveying, it would be possible with the help of the GIS as well as with the help of the GPS. The major role about the GIS to collect the informations to prepare the database, and it's now a database management system. So for acquiring the data, so you have to determine the water volume. Suppose you have to proposing the reservoir or any dam across the flow of the river, at that time need to get the reservoir capacities. So that is the part of water volume. You have to learn what would be the reservoir capacity, and based on that, now here you decide what would be the height of the dam, what would be the further design of the dam, what would be the
Excuse me,
length
sir.
of the dam. Yes, yes, yes.
Your PPT is not visible, sir.
Okay, 1 minute. Again, I will go with the presentation mode. Let me convey the message whether it is visible.
Yes, sir. Now it is visible.
So water volume is nothing but it represents as a reservoir capacity. And being as a civil engineer, hydraulic engineer, you must be find out or determine the reservoir capacity. If is there any proposal work, either it may be the reservoir, either it may be the spillway section, either it may be the non-overflow sections. You might be understood, you might be determine the capacity of the reservoir by consideration of the last 15 years data. That is one more aspect under this hydrographic surveying to acquire the informations for determining the reservoir capacity in terms of the water volume. Second thing is that you must be aware with the rate of the flow, that is the discharge of the river. Discharge of the river can be understood, can be acquired those informations related to the discharge. Think the various techniques, that is the methods you have to be applied to measure the discharge of the river flow. Either you can be apply the area velocity method or the slope area method, and by using this you have to acquire the data about the discharge of the river. And directly you cannot measure the discharge with the water bodies with the river. So first of all, you need to find out the velocity, and the velocity can be measured by using the current meter. And the further part is nothing but you have to determine the shape of the area underlying the water surface. So water surface, the water surface, you have to prepare the profile of the river. So the profile of the river can be worked out by knowing the information about the river. So This is the major part of this hydrographic surveying. Then what is the major purpose behind this hydrographic surveying? That means to determine the quantities of the subaqueous excavation. So the subaqueous excavation is nothing but subsurface water informations. You are aware with the surface water informations, but you don't have the ideas behind the water bodies or within the water body. So those information shall be worked out by using this hydrographic surveying. So what type of those informations? So you have to measure the areas which are subjected under the scoring actions, under the erosion actions, or under the silting actions. Mostly it is applied for the harbor stations as well as in case of the marine water bodies, just like jetties, wharves, or the docks nowhere. But now, if is there any proposed work across the flow of the river, then you have to observe that is there action of the scoring or the silting, and you have to find out its quantities. So the subaqueous data, you have to be acquired it because of this hydrographic survey. This is very much essential part because otherwise you don't know the ideas about this subaqueous data. Next part is that you have to locate the rock, just like the sandbar is the example. Then you have to locate the rock, location of the rock. Is there any other objects such as the buoys, lights, etc. to aid for the safe navigations? So those are to be embedded into the water body. That is helpful for navigating these ships. So for this purpose, you are getting the information about the subaqueous data. Now, it's very important part. Surveying is a part is nothing but to prepare a map. To prepare, just like I'm telling you, you heard the word that is a topographical map. Same way for the water bodies, you prepare the navigational chart. So this navigational chart, which is helpful to acquire the informations related to the water bodies in terms of the depth, how much the depth is available for the navigation purposes or for the other purpose. Yes, you are getting the entire informations because of this hydrographic survey. I want to tell you, suppose you are proposing any river training work. The river training work is nothing but to train the river water. Try to straight the path of the river into the constricted structure so that whatever the problems with the river, for example, flood. So what are the causes of the flood? If any obstructions like this silt load, scoring actions, then is there any sandbars, rock bars, then you know the day by day the silt has been carried by the river and automatically it has been accumulated. If there is any obstruction across the flow of the river, then it will be creating the problem in terms of that is the spreading of the water. And there will be a lot of chances to spread of the water because of this obstruction. So for this cause, there is need to prepare this navigational chart as well as to collect the data, subaqueous data. Then you need to go for the further actions, further plan, so that you have to dredge out this scoring as well as you have to correct those scoring actions by preparing with the help of hydraulic structures as well as to remove the silt load, so that you have to activate the river path as its origin and the flow should be takes place. Then nothing the flood or there will not be the chances to cause the flood. So this is one more drawback. So for this, there is need to monitor the river regularly and you are getting those information. And for this purpose, you have to go with the hydrographic survey. So flood control is the major aspects, major objectives behind this for doing this hydrographic surveying. Also, if you have to plan the further activities for water supply or for this storage from the river. So, for example, Khadakwasla Dam, we are utilizing for the water for domestic purposes for the Pune cities. But you don't know the ideas about what would be the capacity of the reservoir and what would be the release of the water from the Khadakwasla Dam through the canal. So, the such type of the informations you are acquiring because of this hydrographic survey. The next part, that is how to develop the water resources for different purposes. You know that there are different purposes. Either you can be utilized for power generation, either you can be utilized for the irrigation purposes, either you can utilize for the recreation purposes. Now, most of the dams have constructed only for the agricultural purposes. Our major utility is only towards the agricultural purposes. That is 70% is the utility for the agricultural purposes, and the 30% remains part you have to utilize for the other reasons. So you have to develop these water resources. For example, as per our the present scenario, suppose you are proposing the power station having the capacity of this 1000 megawatt. And as per the future need, suppose you are trying to develop those water resources, again you have to observe the river water bodies, and is there you have to locate the place where you have to enhance the power generations. So that is the way to go with the hydrographic surveying, and with the help of the hydrographic surveying, you will be getting the information. The measurement is a major task in this hydrographic survey. The measurement of the depth of the water at various points. So please note down, I am telling you the participants. So please listen this information carefully. And the entire FDP is only organized for inculcating the knowledge as well as for updating the knowledge. And whatever I have, I am trying to explore in front of you. So the major task in this hydrographic surveying to measure the depth of the water at various locations, and that is now called as the sounding. Technically, we have to be called as the sounding. Simple way, the meaning of the sounding is nothing but to acquire the information about the depth of the water around this river, or is there any proposal work, then you need to find out what will be the depth of the water which is to be available. Now, as per the cross section of the river, if you are observing the cross section of the river like this, okay, this is the cross section of the river, and if you are observing, this is one of the bank of the river, this is another bank of the river, and you are measuring the depth of the water across the flow of the river by doing this sounding. Sounding is one of the method under this hydrographic survey. So what would be the depth of the water which is available at nearer to this bank of the river, at the mid sections? And as you know, the part that is always the velocity of the river is more or the maximum exactly at the mid section, and the velocity goes on reducing toward the extreme ends of the river. But don't know the idea. And suppose, for example, is there any sandbar available which is available here, then definitely you are getting the informations about the depth of the water. So it has the lesser depth. Then is there any proposed work? Then there is a need. Suppose these obstructions are to be carried due to this silt, or is there any rock? Then immediately you have to dredge off. Because of that, it will be obstructing the flow. And if the path is to be constructed and it becomes a narrow, then velocity is also tremendously increases. So with the minimum cross-sectional area, velocity is also the maximum, and there is the chances to cause the flood. And always the damages has been take place on the bank of the river in terms of the scoring action as well as in terms of the erosion action. Now depth of is referred to the water level at the time it is made. This is now the reference level. You have to locate this and observe, measure the depth of the water by using this hydrographic survey. So these are the insights under the hydrographic survey. Then thereafter, the soundings are to be reduced. You know, RL, reduced level, is a famous word in surveying part. So reduced level you have to be worked out, but it is connected with the benchmark. And by referring the benchmark, if the elevation of the benchmark is known to you, then whatever the readings you observed, then you have to connect, you have to relate those readings towards the benchmark and find out the reduce. So now in this hydrographic surveying, it is called as the reduction in the sounding. It is called as reduction in sounding, which are accounting for the tidal waves, that is the tidal water, also which undergoes the continuous change of the elevations. You know that you have to regularly monitoring the path of the river with the help of the gauges. So gauges is nothing but the stream gauges. Those gauges we have to utilize to measure the discharge of the river. Then number of the benchmarks there is need to be established on the banks of the river, on the shore side. need to be established the benchmarks. And if you are fixing the range line parallel or across the flow of the river, then you have to find out the reduced level of all the range lines. And with respect to the range line, you have to fix up the sounding points. So along the shorelines, where the benchmarks are to be fixed and reduction in sounding is to be carried out across the flow of the river. Suppose you are fixing the range lines. Then some points to be noted. Even though I'm appealing, I appeal to all the participants if the important discussion is going on. So please note down those points, because of that, which is important to you when you are teaching to your students. Those points are helpful to you while delivering the lecture. So the important point is nothing but it's actual practical field work. In survey, it involves the horizontal point and the vertical control points. So there is need to establish horizontal control as well as vertical control. Horizontal control is helpful for measuring the angles. Vertical control is helpful to find out the reduction in the sounding, to find out the reduced level. Then horizontal control is established by doing the surveying. Traversing is one of the techniques. Those traversing may be classified under the two categories. It may be the open traverse, it may be the closed traverse. Triangulation is also again the part where it covers the whole area. It has the three sub classification: primary triangulation, secondary triangulation, and tertiary triangulation. It depends on the area. That is on first day's lecture, Professor Jadhav has explained the 250 square kilometer area, it would be possible to cover and to prepare the map. So that would be the restrictions actually, 250 square kilometer area. But nowadays it is possible to cover the entire globe because of the satellite imageries. That is the change. That is now the new updations. Also, the Professor Shelar has explained about the instrument that is EDM. I was actually chairman of this advanced surveying subject at Savitribai Phule, Pune University. I handled this chairman post up to this 5 years, and in last 2 years I left this position and I have to go with the other subjects. Now, while setting the syllabus in our universities, and there was a syllabus only related to the conventional surveying part. And there was a workshop, it was held at the VIIT. That time the VIIT was college started, and during that period, there was one workshop to establish the syllabus. Now many faculty has refusing the advanced part of these instruments, advanced part of the survey. And forcibly, Professor Shelar and myself, we have taken the initiatives, and we are putting only one chapter related to the conventional survey. That is, now you have to study the geodetic survey. Most of the faculties are from the Pune University. They are knowing the actual syllabus of this advanced survey. And further chapters, we are providing, that is the GPS, remote sensing, and the GIS technique. This is now the today's need. Instead of doing the survey, conventional surveying part, we want to save the time, and we have to the targets. So I am telling you the one of the examples, that is Lavasa city is also developed because of the second part is that once you are getting, that is a satellite imagery, then you can be able to acquire the informations with the help of the satellite imagery. So 6 to 7 years back, I was giving task to my students for preparing the map, and they have done the entire work, the practical, by using the GPS, and further that it was extended by using the GIS, and we have to utilize the open software, that is the QGIS software, and they have prepared a plan. They have to prepare the layout plan. I have, that is, those plan is also available with me. Immediately I can show you. So this is the way to inculcate your the knowledge, update the knowledge, and you have not carried out the conventional surveying part. Also, during my one of the program, I had a visited to the VGTI, Bombay. And the Bombay University, right now they are carrying with the chain serving, compass serving. So there is need to update the serving part. There is need to change the syllabus. And we are putting those parts, GPS, GIS, remote sensing, into this advanced serving subject so that the students are getting the benefits, students are getting the knowledge. And right now they are applying to the field. And I have done the many projects related to the serving. Even though I have to carry out the many works on not only, and because of the surveying, I'm telling you, I'm happy to tell you, because of the knowledge of the surveying, I have to design the sewerage system, I have to design the water supply chain, even though I have to design the 24/7 water supply scheme, even though I have to design the temple lift irrigation scheme, even though I have to design the Maisha scheme, which is now located at the Maisha. And that is now possible because of the knowledge of the surveying. And if you are having the knowledge of the surveying, then and then only it will be possible to go for the further design, further hydraulic design for the structure. So that's why the establishment of the horizontal control, vertical control is a very important part. You have to go with the GPS. The establishment of the horizontal control and the vertical control, not necessary it is used for this advanced surveying, but for the conventional surveying always it is helpful. So the hydrographic surveying, there is no option. Without hydrographic surveying, you cannot get the information, because the subaqueous information immediately you have to get it only because of the sound. So for vertical control, then tidal gauges, your measure, that is the tides, measurement of tides, which is helpful to set the mean sea level continuously, since the water level and the gauge must also be known when the soundings are to be recorded. So the recording of the sounding is one of the aspects under this survey. I'm not repeating this thing, but major objects I am telling you. So the first object under this hydrographic surveying is to measurement of the tides, which are ascertaining to fix up this mean sea level. Once it is fixed, nowadays we are utilizing this MSL. If you have to look out the any hydraulic structure, then if you have to observe the salient features of any hydraulic structure, you could not be get the information in terms of length of dam, height of dam, then width of the dam, but you will be getting the information in terms of the RLs, as well as the location of the dam is related to the MSL. And you have to be observed when you have visited to any dam site, any hydraulic structure, you have to be observed that is this dam is located at this 500-meter RL with respect to this mean sea level. Second object for this hydrographic surveying is to determine the depth of the water, also the velocity of this, as well as to measure the discharge. Major aspect is to fix up the shoreline. Without fixing the shoreline, you cannot carry out the hydrographic surveying part, you cannot carry out the sounding part. So determining the area, you have to locate the places, you have to demarcate the places into the river. So due to the action of the scoring, due to the action of the silting, also to compute the quantities of those materials are required to be dredged in terms of the action of plan. Another aspect, while designing any harbor stations, you have to prepare the navigational chart, which gives the information about the water body, also the submarine contour. Then you have to go for the planning of the civil engineering work, for example, harbors, docks, then jetties and the wharves, as well as the dams, underwater tunnels, disposal of the sewage, also the location of the buy. This is also utilized for this identification tool, navigating the ships, as well as the light pole is also located towards this any harbor station. That is the landmark, then rock and the sandbar. So I feel proud now here because of that. I am belonging to the AISSMS College of Engineering, Pune, and in this AISS campus, there is one gift given to our campus now here, and this is now the landmark of our the campus. So Canberra is the aircraft is placed by the management. They have taken the lot of efforts to place the Canberra aircraft. It was utilized aerial photogrammetry. It is a part of surveying, and if the many faculties are belonging to this AISSMS, definitely you have to be observed the lot of the informations are given on this display. It has been displayed, and you have to be observed the Canberra. What is the role of this Canberra? It was utilized for the aerial photogrammetry, and this is now our the landmark of the campus. आणि आमचं कॉलेजचं आयडेंटिटी अजूनही आहे. कॉलेज विमानाचं कॉलेज का म्हटलं की सगळे ओळखतात. AISSMS म्हटलं की कुणीही ओळखत नाही. SSPM म्हटलं की थोडेसे जवळ येतात, आणि विमानाचं कॉलेज म्हटल्यानंतर immediately you know the unknown person can be approached in the college now inside the premises. And that is now our the gift because of the surveying, that because of the surveying, because of this aircraft where the college is also made. So this is our the landmark. The actual principal operations under this hydrographic survey, that is to determine the depth of the bed of the water bodies below the water surface, already you call as the sounding. Also determine the position of the sounding station in a plan. You prepare a plan with respect to the reference point. Reference points, here we are using the benchmark either within the water body or on bank of the water body as a part of the shoreline survey. Controls are well-defined points, reference point. Controls, the meaning of the control. Already I was explained, there are the two controls, horizontal control and the vertical control. Those points refer to on this shore side or within a water body, whose absolute positions, relative position. Absolute position is nothing but if you are considering the height, elevation, then you call it this absolute positions of a points, either in a horizontal plane or in a vertical plane, is known by the surveyor, and with respect to the position of the sounding station can be worked out. So what about the horizontal control? These are the control stations, preferably on the shore side, sometimes in the water bodies, whose absolute position in a horizontal plane is known to the surveyor. Horizontal control points may be established by using triangulations or even by using the traversing, where the high degree of the precision is also required. That is correction, it doesn't have the error. So the main principle of the surveying is to start from the work to partner here, means for elimination of the error. So by utilizing this transistor light, or you have to utilize the traverse, even though you have to utilize the plane table work in the second order. So objects, those can be used. What are those objects are utilized as a part of these horizontal signals? You see, this is the location of the harbor station. Location of the sounding station in plan is determined with respect to the horizontal control. What about the vertical control? Is a well-defined stations, preferably on the shore or maybe within the water bodies. And its absolute positions in horizontal control, absolute positions in the horizontal plane is to be known by the surveyor. In vertical control, that is the in vertical plane, that is the absolute positions of the points are to be known by the surveyor. So vertical controls is a series of the benchmarks are to be established along the shoreline, either by this GTL, geodetic trigonometrical leveling. If we have to utilize, if we have to carry out this work in plane surveying, there are the two basic classification of the surveying, plane surveying and the geodetic surveying. If you are considering the the surface of the earth, then the entire part of this leveling you call as the geodetic trigonometric leveling, and you have to fix up this vertical control, establish this vertical control where the high precision is also required. Then how to ascertain these high precisions? Because of this spirit leveling or the in this second order work. So vertical control serves, there are the two purposes. Either you have to set out the work, or also you have to check out the tidal gauges, and you have to find out the reduction in the sounding. So that's why we have to utilize this vertical control. Now, next part, shoreline survey. What about the shoreline survey? This is required for horizontal establishment of horizontal control as well as establishment of vertical control. So to prepare, it is conducted, that is to prepare the topographical map of the shoreline, which includes first point, determination or location of the shoreline. This is major aspect. Now I'm telling you, while measuring the discharge in case of the river or in any water bodies, your site must be stable. It doesn't have affecting any cross currents. It doesn't have the problem of the scoring as well as the erosion. So the site must be stable. It should be free from other problems. So that's why you have to fix up, determine the exact location of the shoreline where you have to acquire the information about the water bodies. So the location of the prominent features nearby shore where the sounding can be referred, establishing high water line and the low water line, which is applicable for the spring tides, average spring tides. You know, that is lunar tides and the spring tide. These are the two types of the tides. If the time is available, then definitely we shall go for the tides, measurement of the tides. So the average spring tide is nothing but it is the highest tide that occurs in the month. It is actually applied for the coastal region in the month and is generated on a new or the full moon conditions, that is half moon conditions, full moon conditions. When the combined attraction, because of these attractions due to this moon and the sun is also maximum. आपण त्याला मराठीमध्ये म्हणतो भरती आणि ओहोटी ही काय येते because of this attraction of the sun and the moon. The level of the water is rather up or decreases now here, and you have to be observed the entire effect with the help of this hydrographic survey. Now shoreline survey is usually done by the normal method of the chain survey, plane table survey, compass survey, or the transit survey. Nowadays, you can be utilize the GPS. In case of the narrow river, single traverse is also required or may be also useful for this narrow river. If it is a border river or wider river, then definitely you have to go for traversing on both sides of the river. So however, in case of this river, you may go with this. If river is narrow, you have to prefer with this plane table survey, compass survey or transit survey. In case of the wide river, you have to go with the theodolite traversing on both the sides, the banks of the river, and which is now necessary for this wider river. So what is the in order to check the accuracies on both sides? If you carried the traversing, then you have to check the traverse to check the lines at the regular intervals. Regulatories in shoreline are located accurately with the help of suitable offsets taken to the water boundaries from the traverse. It is inconvenient to run a traverse. You have to go with the further part. If you have certain problems, difficulties arises on a site, you have to go with the triangulation surveys. All prominent topographical and man-made features are to be located by using the tachometric method or plane table method. So tachometric method, tachometer, if you are providing the analytical lens in a theodolite, then the theodolite becomes a tachometer, and with the help of the tachometer you can be able to measure the distance bounded in between the station points in survey. Directly you are getting the distance, where is the formula d is equal to ks plus t. This is the formula you have to utilize to measure the distance bounded in between the stations. So these points can be later used as a reference. It is helpful in the range lines. Also the sounding work is being carried out. So determination of high water line is done by locating the points on the shoreline at the time of high tides. So these are the tasks, actual work under this hydrographic survey. are to be easily located from the marks visible on permanent rocks, that is permanent mark by using this rock, or you have to mark with a paint after the high tide. Exact location of points along the high water line. Usual direct method of the contouring may be also used. Low water line is rather difficult because the low water line does not remain exposed for the longer period. Low water line is usually determined indirectly by utilizing the interpolation method. Now, what about the sounding? Sounding is nothing but to measure the vertical depths below the water surface up to the bed, up to the basin, river basin are called the sounding. Purpose of the sounding is to know the nature of the bed level. Subaqueous informations can be collected. Procedure of the sounding is somewhat similar to that of leveling because you measure the depth, and this is now required to prepare, that is update chart, that is to prepare or update the navigational chart, ascertain the scoring, silting information about the river, also compute the volume of water is required to dredge it out, underwater investigations required for design and construction of the breakwater. So breakwater, breakwater is the marine structure which is now constructed by utilizing the armor stone. Armor stone, I am telling you armor stone, or the construction of the sea wall, jetties and the wharves are to be etc. It is now possible to develop those for these harbors as well as for the ports because of this information. So I'm telling you the armor stone is also utilized. Why it is called armor stone? Because of that, it's the entire weight is more than the 1 ton. So therefore, by placing those stones into the water bodies of the sea, particularly it is up sea shore sides, for breaking the sea tides. For this purpose, you have to utilize those structure. Now, sounding, how it is carried out, look out this. I am showing you with the help of the diagram. These are the points, sounding, location of the sounding. This is the bank of the river, shoreline survey is to be carried out. All these are the range lines. Look out this. This is the animation. So this is the river. Please see there, beautiful picture. This is the shore side, this is the bank of river. This is now actual water body, that is the river. And the shore lines, these are the range lines, where you have to locate the points for the sounding. And with that point, you have to measure the depth of the water. That is the procedure of the sounding. This is the shore line. All these are the range lines. Look out this. There are the number of the range lines. All these lines are parallel to each other, but which is now again perpendicular to the flow of the river. This is the direction of the flow, and you have to be observed. All these are the range lines. Then with respect to the range lines, you have to locate the places, or you call as these are the sounding points where you have to go for measurement of the depth of the water. All these are the sounding points. Range line is nothing but is a line along which the sound has been made. These are usually fixed perpendicular to the shore lines, already talked you, parallel to each other. Then what about the range line? You see, these are the parallel lines. If it is not possible, then you have to locate the one place on the shore side, and by placing the different angles, see this is now the first line, second line, third line, but it doesn't have the intervals. It depends upon the path of the river. If any river is moving into the zigzag fashion, then definitely you have to go with a single point and let them to shore range lines. So these are the two ways you have to fix up the range line. Then very important part, that is the major topic, is to about the advanced surveying equipment and the techniques you have to utilize. That is the main objectives behind this FDP. So these are the list of the equipment: sounding equipment, then marking equipment, direction measuring equipment, and these are the list of equipments. For sounding equipment, sounding boat is also utilized, sounding pole is utilized, sound line, sounding machine, fathometer or echo depth, recorder is also utilized. For marking the equipment, you have to utilize the signals. Then buoys also utilized for signals or for marking the places. Then direction measuring equipments. So specifically the nautical sextant is also utilized. Theodolite is utilized only for set out the angles only from the shore sides. But within the water bodies, you have to be observed angles in between the station points from the shore side towards this river or towards the water body by using the nautical sextant. It is a handy instrument and this is helpful to you for measuring the angles from this boat, and you have to fix up the boat points, and through that sounding for locations you have to measure the angles and fix up the boats to sail the boat where you have to carry out the further activities under this hydrographic survey. Now, I am not describing this much more about the equipment because of the time constraint, and I have to expose many more things under this hydrographic survey. Sounding boat, it's a simple boat. Already you are awaiting to that boat. It's a rooming stable, flat bottomed boat is suitable in quiet waters, where the round one will be convenient in rough water, that is if there any cross currents blowing, currents are strong, then you have to go with the power boat. That it is you have to utilize. And these sounding poles or the sounding rods, it is made it with the seasonal timber. Its material is the timber. It may be the circular, that is the 8 centimeter. Its diameter is 8 centimeter, and the 4 to length of this rod is 4 to 8 meter long. But this is applicable only for the shallow water bodies. And it has been graduated, and you have to go with the actual measurements of the water, because of these graduations have to be marked on these sounding poles, or in some of the cases you have to utilize the sounding rod. So you are getting the informations about the depth of the water. Then lead line or the sounding line, where you have to keep the weight, that is it is usually line of hemp or the cotton or the brass chain, and at its bottom you have to fix up the weight so that it will be vertically placed into the water bodies, and definitely you are getting the observations with the help of leading line or the sounding line, and graduations are to be marked on this leading line. Sounding machine or the sounding chain also it can be utilized. It's a high tensile strength wire which is being wound around this manually operated machines, automatic operating drum, and where the sounding the chain can be placed into the water bodies, and you have to be observed the depth of the water. It has the capacity range up to the 33 meter. You can be placed it, but there is need to place the weight at its one end so that it can be immersed into the water. And very good that is advanced instrument we are using right now. Fathometer, or called the echo depth record or echo sounding apparatus. It's an indirect method of the sounding. It is being placed in a boat, and with through this well you have to carry out this further activity, and you know the time required for the sound impulse. This is the mechanism principles you have to utilize. Sound where which has been impulses to travel up to the bottom of this water body, that is in the terms of transmissions, and those waves, those sound waves are receiving back towards the receiver, and you can be able to measure the depth of the water. These are the essential equipments, instruments employed for taking the soundings, may be grouped as shore signals and the buoys, sounding equipments, angle measuring instruments, already I was aware to that. Range line is also marked with 2 signals at some distance apart along each on each shore. Shore signals are required to mark the range line. Signals are usually wooden tripods with a white and color because it must be visible, or you have to utilize the flat on the top. Buoys is a float, you know the float is also utilized, that is a surface float made up of this light wood material or hollow airtight vessels, properly weighted at the bottom, and it is anchored in a vertical position by means of the wire. Deep water, range lines are marked by a signal at shore and buoys in the waters. So look out, this is the part that means for locating the shoreline surveys, you have to utilize the buoy. See, this is the photograph. You have to look out. This is the actual photograph of the instrument where we have to utilize sounding equipment. Then sounding board. Already I had explained. I think I cannot explain much more about the sounding board. Only I have to show you the diagram of the sounding board. See the shape of the sounding board like this. This is a sounding board. Sounding rods. Already we have explained. Then lead line where the weight is also placed at its one end. And you know the proper operations, how it is carried out. This is the well, that is the sounding well you call, is a boat. By sailing the boat along the range line, and as per the location of the sounding point, you have to fix up the boat and you have to carry out the work to measure the depth of the water. See, this is a lead line. It's one of the sample how this activity is to be carried out, and you have to carry out the further parts. Also, if the shallow water body is there, then you have to place the sounding pole into the water bodies through the well, and when this is the weight is going to be provided, when it is touching to the bed of the river, basin of the river, then you will be getting the proper noise, and you have to stop work and find out what would be there and determine the actual depth of the water with each location of the sounding points. Then weightless sounding machine, in earlier day it was utilized when there is a lot of sounding work. Then some form of the sounding machine attached to the sounding line where it was. And how this machine? So Weddell's hard-driven machine consists of cast iron casing carrying on a spindle gunmetal barrel, lead weight having the weight of 8 kg carried at the end of flexible wire cord attached to the barrel, can be lowered into the water at a desirable rate, speed of the drum being controlled by a brake. So the spindle is connected through these gears to the two reading dials. So I will show you the actual working. See, this is the machine, and you can be able to observe what is the nature. So this is the machine. You have to observe the part is a sounding wire. This is the hoisting mechanism. The cables are being placed it. Then it is again inserted into the water body. This is a spray line. This is now the part of the elevations which is being mounted with the help of this machine. And you know it has been driven it with the help of this hoisting mechanism. Now, this is now the actual photograph about this Wedling sounding machine, how the entire work is also carried. See, this is the machine. It is being placed into the boat, and the entire work of the sounding is being also carried. Echo depth recorder, or called the fathometer, when the depth of water is too much. So always you have to prefer the fathometer or echo depth recorder. So the purpose is to measure the sounding or depth of water. But it can be utilized, you know, the and receiving the oscillator recorder. Already I was told you the procedure. Only I have to show you this velocity of the sound waves are to be propagated into the water body. Then observe the distance is VT. This method is very accurate. Velocity into the traveling time, required time divided by the T2, so that we are getting the distance. This method is very accurate and very precise method in hydrographic surveying. Usually in the strong winds also, it is more sensitive than other methods, produces the continuous in the form of the curves when boat is in the motion. Then what are the advantages? What is the actual advantages of this fathometer? It is more accurate than this lead line. It has the limitations. It can be used in the strong currents or seams. It is more sensitive than the lead line method. It can be used on a daytime. In any weather when the ordinary lead line method would be useless. So this is the advantage of this fathometer. Then what are the disadvantages? It is more accurate than this lead line. It has the limitations. It can be used in the strong currents or seams. It is more sensitive than the lead line method. It can be used on a daytime. In any weather when the ordinary impossible. It is much rapid in use than the ordinary method. See the mechanism where the waves are sound waves are to be transmitted from the point A. It is going propagated and again it is reflected into the basin of the river, seabed, reflected back where all the waves are to be received with the help of receiver. So the entire waves, again the speed and the D is the depth of water. You have to be measured by using the VT by 2. This is the equation can be utilized to measure the depth of the water. So this is the device, echo depth recorder or fathometer. And this is now the board. It's a big ship and you have to carry out these activities. So how this activity is also carried out, look out, this is a diagram. This is the color diagram. You can be understood the echo depth recorder. Now, second part in this hydrographic surveying marking equipment. This is another equipment. Signals can be utilized. Also range lines, shore signals. They are usually 10 centimeters square in section. Informations are related to the signal is also given. Buoys used as a signal in deep water. It is floated on the water surface. It's an airtight vessel, properly weighted at bottom, anchored in vertical positions. Temporary signals are to be utilized. It may be a pile of the stone while fixed up the shoreline points. Then buoys, see the diagram of the buoys. These are the color diagrams where we have to fix up these, all these are the buoys. And this is helpful for the sounding as well as to locate the shoreline. Third equipment, that is angle measuring equipment under this hydrographic survey. So the list of this angle measuring equipments. Angle instruments, measuring instruments, theodolite is utilized only for on the shore side. Prismatic compass is it is also utilized on shore side. Sextant is an optical sextant, actually it is utilized for measuring the angle from the board point towards the shore side. Theodolite and the prismatic compass are not suitable. You know that if you are keeping any instruments in a boat, then it is a boat is also movable. Then the proper leveling is also required for the entire instrument. But the special instrument you have to utilize in the hydrographic surveying as a nautical sextant. And that is now the actual reason. Because of these reasons, we have to utilize the nautical sextant, and this is most suitable instrument for measuring this angle in any plane. So the nautical sextant, I'm telling you about, describe this nautical sextant. What is nautical sextant? It was invented in the earlier period and utilized to measure the angle from the shore side to from the boat point. So the nautical sextant is a portable handy instrument, accurate handy instrument used mainly for measuring the angles from the boat. Once you have to fix up the boat points along the range line with respect to the sounding points, you can be fix up those angles and you have to bisect the objects toward the shore sides, and by knowing the angle you can be able to fix up the boat with respect to that point, and you have to carry out the further work for measuring the depth of the water. Another important use of this instrument is for getting the astronomical observations and for measuring the vertical angles also. Suppose I am keeping this, I will show you the actual nautical sextant with a diagram, with a photo. If it is placed horizontally, then you have to measure the horizontal angle. And if you have to place vertically, then you will be measure the vertical angle. This is now the best feature inside the nautical sector. So oblique angle actually utilized to measure the oblique angles. And when the observed objects are at a different altitudes, you observe the oblique angle. So this is the actual mechanism, working principle behind this nautical sextant. This is a line diagram I am showing you. This is a graduated arm where the marks, that is angles, are to be marked up to the 120 degrees, and it has a limitation up to 1/6 of the whole circle reading. You can measure the angle. This is the I indicates the index glass, H indicates the horizon glass, and when you are bisecting any objects toward the shore side, so at that time the images are to be reflected over this horizon glass. So there are the two portions. The half part of this horizon glass is getting silvered. Half part of this horizon glass is unsilvered. So the uppermost part is unsilvered. Lowermost part of this horizon glass, it is circular in nature, is again the silver. It is, but the index glass is also fixed on the index arm, and the index glass is going to be adjusted while bisecting the object. You are getting the reflected image on the uppermost part of this silver part of this horizon glass at the lowermost part when you are bisecting the object. And the principle you have to utilize, that is, as theta is the angle made bounded in between the object, and as per the working principle, you have to measure angle measured by this instrument by the alpha. Alpha is the angle measured in between the two stations. Suppose the P point and the Q point is located on the shore side, and our aim is to measure the angle from the boat so that when you are bisecting the point P and the Q, simply you have to keep the leveling stop over the P on shore side, and you bisect the point P where you are receiving the image over the half part of the horizon glass, that is on the unsilvered part. Then you are bisecting the instrument, that is a leveling stop over the station Q, by moving this index arm so that the image of the Q is also reflected on horizon glass, but it is now on the silvered part, that is lowermost part of the horizon glass. Then both the images are going to be bisected, and at that time you can be able to measure, that is, angle from this P to the O. So the angle PO can be measured as a twice alpha. Therefore, actual angle is the theta, and which is now equal to the twice alpha is the working principle. Text I is rotated at the pivot point placed at the center of the graduated arc. Its list count is 12 seconds. Horizon glass, the lower half, which is now silvered, already I told you. Upper half part is unsilvered. Nature of this horizon glass is a circular in nature, and it is now stable glass. Scope is also utilized to bisect the object to this eye vein or eye hole, rigid attached to the frame and pointing to this horizon glass. Graduated arc or the limb, which is 1/6 of the circle, already I told you, and which has the limitation up to 120 degree where you measure this oblique angle. And if there is any radiation effect, so those colored glasses can be utilized, which may be interposed when the bright objects are to be sighted for getting the clear visibility. That's why we have to utilize the color glasses. See, this is the diagram, nautical sextant. Already all the components parts showing here. This is now the horizon mirror. This is now the graduated arc where the graduations are to be marked. This is the clamping screw, or this is the micrometer here. So for getting the more clear visibilities, so you have to operate just like the tangent screw. Index arm, this is now the telescope. Then sets for this glasses we have to utilize. Horizon mirror is going to be fixed. Different instruments are available. This is another instrument to look out. The nautical sextant with the micrometer. This is the micrometer, the graduated arm where you measure the angles, and this is now the index arm where it is rotated by plunging this screw or this knob arm, and you have to press. It is movable from this graduated arm, and while bisecting the object, then definitely you will be getting the angle. Certain errors I want to tell you. This is another photo. So the entire error is called as the index error. So before taking the observations, there is need to eliminate the index. Why this error is there? So actually, as per the principle and working mechanism of the nautical sextant, so the index glass and the horizon glass must be parallel to each other. If it is parallel to each other and it is perpendicular to the plane of the instrument, at that time index error is a 0. means there is no error in the instrument. If not, this is the instrument. Many persons have utilized of operating the definitely it will create the error. Or sometimes the instrumental error you have to eliminate those. Otherwise, you are getting the error in calculations, in observations. Though for setting the zero, you have to find out the index error. Simple I am telling you the experiment or to eliminate the error, index error. Index error can be worked out. So you have to fix up the leveling staff at any one of the station points. Those points are to be located on shore side. So first of all, you bisect the leveling staff on one station through this unsilvered part, horizon glass, and observe the image of this leveling staff over the station A. Again, you move the index arm on such way that the same image of the station A is reflected over the silvered part of the horizon glass, and both the images are coinciding with each other with the help of this micrometer knob. So this is the halfmost part. This is silvered part of this horizon glass and silver part. But where it is visible? Through the telescope, through the eye vein, it is visible. If both the images are to be observed and if it is coinciding, then you observe what will be the actual angle inside the nautical sextant. So the corresponding reading will be represented as the index error. Will be represented as the index error. See, this is the D part is the direct image. R is the reflected image. This is now on the silvered part. This is now on unsilvered part. Try to make it coincidence of both the images so that whatever the error inside the instrument, you have to be observing. And don't make the mistakes before taking the observations with the help of the nautical sextant. And precautions always you consider. Then I want to tell you that it's for the thickness of the directly observed and the reflected image of the same object, then experiment. Yes, Chapekar sir. Hello, Chapekar sir. Hello, Chapekar sir. Hello, am I audible?
Yes, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Can I show the experiment? Can I show the experiment? Those experiments are carried by our student with the help of nautical sextant, and so that the participants can understood it how it is carried out. So this is the exercise are carried
Yes, sir.
by our students. This is now the 3-point problems. Apparatus is also utilized, nautical sextant. Theodolite is also utilized for the shore side. Different methods are to be utilized to locate the boat point. Mechanical method is there, graphical will go for the further part also. Different methods I will describe it. And they have taken the observations. The point P is a boat point. A point and B point is also to be located on the shore side. And graphically, by preparing those with the help of the plane table set, which is now fixed on a shoreline side, and you measure the actual distance from the boat point to the shore side. So our students did this exercise, and analytically, by you applying this, they are observing the distance from the boat point to the shore point P to the A. P is the boat point, A point is located on the shore side. That is now the 22.7 meter, and by graphical method, they are observing 26.2 meter. Also by intersection method, they have to utilize the 26.8 meter. So this error immediately you have to be observed by applying the different methods. You have to be locate the boat point. So for this purpose, you have to be carried out the further work. That is this 3-point problem, and definitely you have to resolve the problems. Again, I want to show you the another part, a nautical sextant experiment. Okay, whether it is visible, whether it is visible, whether this screen is visible to you? Yes, Tapikar sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Yes, very good. So the aim of this exercise, where my students are to be carried out this exercise with the help of nautical sextant, I am showing you the practical performance made by our students to how to measure the horizontal angle with the use of this nautical sextant. This is the procedure is also given. I am showing you this the principle of the sextant. You know theta is equal to twice alpha. Procedure has been carried out already. I talk you the procedure, and this is now the index angle or called the index error. Where of our instrument, we are receiving this index error. This is the angle measured, observed angle, 46 degree. If it is on the scale, then simply you subtract the angle index error from the observed angle. If it is the of the error that is a negative, then definitely you have to add up the index error into the
Hello?
observed
Hello?
angle, and you
Hello?
have to,
Sorry to
yes,
interrupt
yes,
you, sir.
yes. Yes,
Sir,
yes.
I think your screen is not visible clearly.
Okay, okay, okay.
The
So I will
slideshow
go
is
with
not
the
visible, sir.
presentation. Okay. Just I will go with this presentation. One minute. Let me tell whether it is visible. Whether it is
No,
visible,
sir. No, sir.
it is not
All
visible.
slides visible, but not a single
O-
slide like
Okay. It is not visible. Okay, no problem. We'll go with the presentation.
It's
because it's not
grid view,
readable.
I think.
Huh?
Yeah.
Okay, whether it is visible, screen is
Yes, sir.
visible.
Yes, now
Okay.
it is visible.
Yes.
The,
Okay.
okay, shall I continue? Shall I continue?
Yes, sir. Yes. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Please.
So this is the part of the index error. I was telling you the practical procedure and experimental setup made by the students, how to ascertain the index error. Right now, we'll go for the further parts. That is the what are the personnel, that is the the human resources are required to carry out the sounding as well as to carry out the hydrographic surveying part here. So the sounding party consists of the following personnel. That is personnel. You have to be observed. That is a personnel. I want to show you here with the help of the pointer so that everybody can understand it. So this is the manpower. It's a teamwork. It's a team, and by single person it is not possible to carry out the survey. It requires the persons. So what are the names of those persons? Technically, surveyor or the chief of the party is also required. That is first person. Second person, instrument man or main, may be on the shore or on the boat. Record keeper, by keeping maybe the soundings, observations, angles or the distance, record keeper. Then leads man, where you make the sounding, and signal man, where it required when the angular observations are made from the shore side. He gives the signal. Suppose the certain distance away, where the signal man is also standing over the shore side, and only by putting the signals, by keeping the hand, and you are showing the directions, you move on the left hand side or on the right hand side. So the observations of the sounding from the boat and the angular observation from the shore are to be done simultaneously. The line on which the things are taken are called the range or the range lines. Already you have it. 1, 2, 3, 4. These are the parallel lines. If it is not possible, then you may go with the irregular shore lines. Depends upon the site conditions on a river side. And the range lines should be well defined by means of at least 2 signals erected on it. Position of the signals defining the ranges should be carefully located either by triangulations or traversing or the CDS surveying. So this is now the actual point. You have to look, see these are the 1, 2, 3, 4. These are the range lines. Then if it is not possible, you have to go with the range lines, that is the 5, number 6, number 7, 8, 9 with a single point, and your activities. So already I told this, no I have to go with the further part, that is location of the sounding, how to locate the sounding exclusively from the shore side. So the first method, it is going to be located by tachometry, is one of the instrument. Also, it is going to be taken by range and one shore angle. These are the another method to go out the sounding, location of the sounding. Sounding boat is rowed or the sail toward this range line, and every sounding station is located by observing the angle with a theodolite. But this theodolite is fixed on the shore side. Accurate method, convenient for plotting, no better control or instrument man is away from the sounding part. To avoid the error of this plotting, observed angle should be, that is limitation you know, that is effective angle, most probable angle, that is a 30 degree. You learn in the geodetic surveying, but also you have to fix up this. Then actual location, you see, B is the point is located on a shore side. A is the point is located on shore side. Distance can be possible on shore side to measure it, A to the B. By using theodolite also you have to utilize the tachometer, can be possible. And you know this is a range line. I'm showing you one point. C point is also located on the other side of the river. This is the other bank. This is one of the bank where you are keeping this point A and the B. And our activity is there, that is to fix up the board point along this range line. So particularly B to the C line represents as a range line. AB is the baseline that is now in your hand, that is possible to measure it. But locating the board point, it's very difficult task. It's a challenge to fix it. How to fix it? You have to keep the instrument over there. So you have to keep the theodolite over the point A, but point B1 is also located with the help of the nautical sextant. Then accordingly, if alpha 1 is the angle made by the theodolite toward the board point, but you don't have the exact idea of the board point. So for this purpose, to resolve the 3-point problems, you have to go with the 3-point problems and locate the new board point, which is now the correct point, and with the help of the correct point, you have to carry out the sounding procedure. This is another method by two angles. See, this point A, B, and the C, these are located on the shore side. This is the bank of the river. This is now the actual river where the water is also flowing like this, and you have to fix up the point. Suppose the alpha 1 and beta 1 is the angle made with respect to the board point. This is now this is not the temporary point, but you have to fix up those points by applying the another technique, and you will be getting the new board position. That is now the correct position of the board, and on that corrected position, you have to carry out the sounding part. And this is now the 3-point problem. You have to resolve those problems. So the alpha 1, alpha, beta 1 also you have to measure the angle. So for first point, you measure the angle alpha 1 and beta 1. So temporarily you have to locate the board point B1. Then by keeping the nautical sextant, you bisect the A, bisect the C. You are knowing this B, it is on the line, and you have to fix up those angles by applying the different method. You have to go with the mechanical method. You have to go with the tracing paper method. You have to go with the graphical method. Different methods you can be applied for locating the board position. Another method for locating the sounding by range and one angle from the boat. You know this is a range line, and only one angle is also from the boat is sufficient. From the boat, you measure the angle towards the A. A point is located on shore, B point is located on the shore. You know this is actually perpendicular to you, and you know the boat is also placed here. Then by using the nautical sextant, you have to make the angle alpha 1, and you bisect the A and measure the angle alpha 1, alpha 2 accordingly towards the range line with respect to all the sounding points. This is another method by two angle from the boat. Two angle from the boat means you measure the two angles, you bisect the point A and the C, point C on the shore side. Alpha 1 you measure here with the help of nautical sextant. Similarly, beta 1 also you measure locate the places. So on the same way you carried out, these are the different methods. Location of the sounding from shore from board point Range and the time method, you know, this is also utilized. Distance is nothing but the distance of the sounding station is nothing but the speed of the boat when the boat is also sailing toward the range line, and you are maintaining the constant speed. And if you are knowing the speed of the boat multiplied by the time required to reach the particular sounding point of the location, and that will give the information about the distance. So this method is suitable for static water bodies having the shallow depth and the short distances. Less accuracy is also obtained, and it is difficult to row the boat along the range line with a constant speed. This is another method, one angle from the shore side and other from the boat. One angle you measure it with the help of thread light from the shore side, but the angle measured from the boat by using the nautical sextant. Then by using the intersecting range, already I was shown, but it is the entire work is not visible. By intersecting the ranges, so these are the different ranges A, B, C, fix up the points and locate the places where you carried out the work for the sounding. By wire rope stretch across the river, you know, have you observed the suspended bridge where the poles are to be fixed banks of the river and all the loads are carried by the cable. Same way, rope is going to be stretched from one bank to the other bank, and the tendons are to be fixed at the regular interval, and with respect to that, those tendons are to be suspended, and it is now located at the top of the water body, and with respect to that point, you have to sail the boat and you have to fix up the boat. With respect to that point, you are going for the sounding operations. Then another part that is just like it is similar to the RL, you know the RL, how to carry out the RL. Similarly, in hydrographic surveying, reduction of the sounding activity or this work is to be carried. How it is carried? Sounding are taken against the existing water level. Sounding provides the depth of the water below the existing water level and not with respect to the common datum. It is necessary to reduce the sounding with respect to the common datum. Correction to the observed angle, observed reading, which is now equal to water level or gauge reading at the time of sounding minus the water level or gauge reading against the assumed datum. So this is the way to correct the sounding. And simple calculation is there. Water level gauge reading at the time of actual reading you observe here, and you know gauge reading is observed against the assumed datum. So those difference is nothing but the corrections. Corrections you have to be applied and correct the observations with the help of the soundings. Observed reading, that is water level at the time of the sounding is above the water level at the bottom, then correction is negative. Vice versa, when it is positive, it is below the water level at the datum. So the datum usually adopted as the mean level of the low water of the spring tides. Already you are aware with the spring tides, or mean low water level of the ordinary spring tide. In short, it is LWOST. Here for the mean level MLWH. Now plotting of the sounding is another way. Conventionally, you have to carry out plotting. Plotting is also required to prepare the plotting of the shoreline on the plan to a suitable scale. Plotting the reference point, instrumentation and the range lines on the above plan, you prepare a plan. Plotting of the positions of the sounding station with the help of observed angles, computed distances, values of the reduced sounding that to be written against these points. Special methods, soundings are to be carried. This is a very most or very important method, effective method by two angles from the boats with reference to the three well-defined known points already explained. This is the problem you have to sort out. That is a 3-point problem, and the entire activity is carried by the students. That is the part of our practical work under this advanced surveying subject, especially for the graduate students. So when the soundings are located by the two angles from the boat with reference to the third point that is located on the shore side, which leads to the solution of the 3-point problem and locate the boat point. Different methods, mechanical method, graphical method, analytical method. Mechanical method, you have to utilize the tracing paper method. So immediately I go to that. So you prepare the tracing paper, alpha angle, beta angle, A point, B point, C point is to be fixed. If alpha angle is known to you, beta angle is also known to you. From this is now the temporary position of the board point. Simply you have to fix up this tracing paper over a drawing sheet when you carried out this work with the help of the plane table survey. Then half plane table shape. Already you are bisecting. Then simply you place this tracing paper. If the line P to the A is also coinciding, then you have to stop the work and locate the actual position of the both point. This is now the mechanical method, that is a tracing paper method. Another, you have to go with the station pointers. That is by station pointer or 3-point protractor. This is the mechanical method. Consists of a circle graduated with the 0 degree to 360 degree in both the directions. And the graduated circle is also with the help of with this 3-point protractor. 3 arms are there. Fiducial edges where the graduations are to be marked with this middle arm coincides with the 0 reading. The point A, B, and C exactly you are keeping over the station B with the help of this middle arm, and other 2 arms are adjustable, can be set accurately, and according to angle you have to move those arms and you have to locate the board point. So all these are the methods applied to locate the board point. See, this is a diagram with the help of this 3-arm protector, and this is the point, the pivot point where you have to fix up the both points. And angle it may be adjusted with the help of left arm and the right arm. This is the mechanical method. And graphical method, circle method is there. I want to tell you the circle method. Suppose the point A and point C and point B shore side. Then simply I'm explaining the first method. So you have to draw, that is from A and from C point, draw a lines which will make the angle beta and the alpha. Actually, those alpha and the beta angle is measured by the nautical sextant from the both points. See here, from the both points. Alpha is towards the A, B point is located on shore side. Bisect A and the B with the help of nautical sextant. First of all, bisect A, then observe the image of the station point B over the silvered part of this horizon glass. When both the images are coinciding, then you have to observe the angles, and already if you are observing the index error, subtract or add up the index error and observe the angle alpha. If alpha and beta is knowing that, then in this graphical method, along this line AC, you make the angle beta with the A, draw a line. Also, you make the angle alpha with the point C, draw a line. Both the lines are intersecting at the point of the E. Then B point is already located. Then you have to extend the line from the point E to the B, extended over the entire point, where it will be represented as the join E, B, and produce it cutting to the circle P. But my question is there before that. These 3 points A, you have to focusing over the point A, E, and C once it is bar graphically. Then select any one of the center, and you have to draw the circle on a such way that where the circle is touching all the 3 points. A must be touching, E must be touching, C must be touching. Once you have drawn the circle, then you extend the line from the point E to the B, and when it is propagated and it is going to be intersected on the boundary of the circle on the circumference, this is now the new boat position, and this is now the actual boat position, and further work you carried out with this new boat position. Simple way also another method. I'm not describing this. I have to explain one method, intersecting circle method, as another method. Then cyclic quadrilateral method is also the another method you have to apply to locate the boat point. And analytical method, you have to check all observation with the help of the analytical method. A point, B point, and C point, these are the points located on the shore side, and both point is going to be located. And these are the different ways, this diagram. And I think my major part of this hydrographic surveying is over. And shall we move to the next part? Chapekar sir, madam, hydrographic surveying. Shall I move to the further part? Shall I extend this presentation toward the tides? Yes, I am audible.
Yes, sir, you are
Yes,
audible.
sir. Yes.
So can I extend the further part of tides? It is the part of hydrographic surveying. Shall I extend this? Ye- yes. Yes. So shall I continue the further completed my task, whatever it is assigned by the Anturkar sir or coordinator, tides? So your measurement of tides is also the major aspect behind this hydrographic surveying. So the part I have to cover here, introduction, shoreline survey, that is the part of these tides. Already I am repeating this. Equipment, sounding path, I will go with the tides. So the tides, meaning of the tide is nothing but these are the periodical variations actually observed over the seashore sides, actually applied for the coastal areas. These are the periodical variations in the water surface of oceans due to the attraction of celestial bodies. You know, the celestial body, sun and the moon is the celestial body where the tides are generated. The principal tide producing the agents such as the sun and the moon is the major part powerful tide producers. I am telling you the tide producer and where the waves are to be generated. And why it is important? Because of that, you have to set up the mean sea level. Observations over the tides are to be required. It is the part of hydrographic survey. And right now, whenever you are facing the problem of the tsunami, last time I think in the past day, you were facing the problem of the tsunamis. So the tsunamis, that is being also worked out, analyzed properly. And based on that, you have to prepare the further actions. It depends upon these tides, why it was occurred, and what would be the effects of the tsunamis when it occurs over the seashore side. So that type of the work you have to be carried out with the help of this hydrographic survey. And need to get the information about the preventive measures, curative measures, or the warning measures. And you know the flood level marking has been carried out, even though you have to change those flood level marking. Now the Pune city and the Bombay city, they were facing the problem of the flood during the period of 2005 and the 2006 because of the heavy rain. Because what is the reason behind this? And whenever you carried out the hydrographic surveying and you have to mark the different flood levels along the banks of the river, then definitely you have to surprise. And earlier, 10 years back, if you are observing the path of the Mula or the Muta river, especially I am talking about the Pune city, there was again you have to be observed the encroachment of the path. And due to this reason, when the path of the river becomes the narrow, and due to this reason, we are facing the problem of the flood. That is the actual reason. And right now, I was presenting one research paper at the national conference on this flood water mitigation technique. I was taken the case studies of this Bombay and the Pune cities, and I was presenting my inventions towards the audience in this conference. So that was the reason because of by analyzing it. So the tide of operations, how it is to be carried out. That is the tide producers is only the major part. You know this in hydrological cycle in water resources is nothing. Always I am telling you, sun is the major source of this hydrological water cycle. So and here in the tides, that is the tide producers are only the two agents, that is the sun and the moon. Tides are to be produced by the unbalanced attracting forces between the moon and the earth are known as lunar tides. You know, attractions. Please note down. That is, if attractions in between the moon and earth is takes place, then the entire tides are to be noted by named as a lunar tides. Second thing is that tides are produced by unbalanced attracting forces between the sun and the earth is called as solar tides. These are the two types of tides. Lunar tides are generated because of the moon, Solar tides are generated because of the attraction of this sun. Then since the sun and the moon act simultaneously, lunar and the solar tides are superimposed. New moon, sun, moon have the same celestial longitude, cross a meridian. I want to show you on a plane. So see, this is the location with the 0 days observations, then 15 days observations, then the 30 days is the period where the cycle is there, where you observe a 1 month period. And wherever you have to observe the spring tide and the nip tide, when the moon is also located at this location, full moon, half moon, you have to be observed. आणि आपण त्याला मराठीमध्ये म्हणतो पौर्णिमा आणि अमावस्या का घडतात because of this reason. So about 7.5 days when the moon is in quadrature, the crest of lunar tide coincides with the trough of the solar tides. High water level is below the average, whereas the low water level is above the average. Such a tide is known as the deep tide of the first quarter oblique the third quarter, same location in third quarter. First quarter, you have to observe is a quadrature. Then you have to, after the 22 days, you have to be observed after 3 weeks. What is the position? So this is now the average spring tide on a site. This photograph has been taken. How to go measurement with the tides. These are used to determine the exact water surface level. Movement of tides during the time of the soundings are made. Gauges are read at regular intervals, varying from 10 meters per 20 minutes. This is actually the position. This is the pool of water. Gauge house is installed, ceiling wedge place, connecting point, and you will be getting the information about the tides. This is the formula. H is equal to H0, y cos 180 degree minus T. T is the time between the high tide and the time of the sounding. Capital T is the time between the high tide and the low tide. Y is the rise of the tide above the mean sea level, and H0 is the actual mean sea level. These gauges may be non-registered or self-registered. Non-registered types requires an observer to record the water level, that is non-antimatic gauges. Stop gauge is also required, float gauge, weight gauge, these are the gauges to measure the tides. Simplest type of gauge, it consists of graduated boards, 152 T 250 millimeter wide, 100 millimeter thick. This is the actual location. See the actual observations. These are the gauges are to be fixed over there. Graduations are to be marked here, so that you will be getting the information about the level of the water. And at different locations, they are placed, just like the leveling star. And these are the markings where you are getting the observations. Float gauge is designed to overcome the difficulty in reading a stop gauge. That is, the errors are to be created by the person. Observer error can be eliminated. When the intensity of the tide is high, variations of the water level is more, then you have to utilize the float gauges. It consists of the float to which a graduated vertical staff is attached. See, this is the diagram. Float gauges. Weight gauges consist of weight attached to a brass chain or the wire. Chain passes over a pulley, is laid horizontal along the graduated circle. Weight is lower to touch the water surface. This is the weight gauge. You have to look out. This is the diagram. Then self-registered gauges. Automatically, you have to record the variations of the water level with respect to the time. See, this is the device. You have to place it. Float is going to be placed. Observation has been taken with the help of this instrument, tide gauges. Then mean sea level. Just know everybody is knowing this mean sea level, how it is defined. So the clear definition of the mean sea level is nothing but main level of the sea, obtained by taking the mean, obtained by taking the mean of all the heights of the tides. So first of all, you take the mean of all the heights of the tides, measured at a regular interval of the time of 1 hour over a stated period And those period is about the 19 years period, covering the entire number of the complete types. So this is now the clear definition, and you have to, by doing this, you have to set the mean sea level. Once it is fixed, the mean sea level shows appreciable variations from day to day, from month to month, and even from year to year. So this is the information I want to share it with you. If you have any doubt or any problem, please share your queries. Okay? Yes.
सडनचा आवाज नाही येत मला.
हॅलो. हॅलो. हा, येतोय आवाज. येस सर. हा, येतोय आवाज. हा हा. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Antrukar, sir. Thank you very much. So for giving me the opportunity to share with the participants, and those participants are vigorously waiting for the new things, updated knowledge about the advanced surveying. Thank you very much, sir.